And then let me come up here too. So first of all, this is something that I want you guys to have down in your notes is that, advanced training one frequently changes the trajectory of people's careers while they're at Cutco. And regardless of how you're doing coming into today, that's what my objective is. And this training will help if you make that decision. So the first thing that I think about, here for all of y'all, okay, and here's what you guys need to know right now, and this is what I put down in my notes, is that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You're exactly where you are supposed to be right now. However you are coming into this training, when you're feeling hot, whether you're feeling low, whether you're feeling in the middle, okay, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And here's what I mean by this. Oftentimes, ladies and gents, reps try to make judgments on how they're going to do at the job or at the position in general based on where they are right now coming into advanced training one. Okay, the biggest sample size in this group is Antonia with 13 presentations completed. And most people in here didn't get to 10. So like think about it this way: if you were a scientific researcher and you were doing research and you tried to bring research back to your colleagues, and your research that you went out there, you did a survey and you collected a survey that had a data sample size of 5 individuals or 5 people. Okay, and you brought back that research study to the rest of your colleagues. What would they say, or what would they do?
That's not enough.
Yeah, they would laugh at you, and then you'd probably get fired at that research institution because they'd be like, "What are you talking about? You have a sample size of 5, like that you can't draw any conclusions from that." Okay, and that's why when you guys hear, by the way, like 70% closing percentage, right? 5 to 10 recommendations per appointment. 6 or 7 out of 10 people buy the knives. $300 to $400 average order. When we say those like numbers, those statistics, what kind of sample size do you all think we're pulling that from? Like how large? What'd you say, Martini?
1 million plus.
Yeah, like literally millions. Okay. Think about it this way, guys. We go into 1 to 2 million new homes per year. Okay. So, here's the first thing is that if you haven't quite seen those numbers work out on the 4 to 5 presentations that you've done so far, don't worry. It's okay. Okay. Number one. And number two, I also just want to encourage you that, if you've been seeing good results, know that there's, by the way, an opportunity for you to take it much higher. So, one of the questions that I get a lot of times from representatives when they're starting the job is, how do I get better? Right? Oh, okay, Andrew, I'm not having the results I want. How do I get better? Or I'm having good results, but I want to have better results. How do I get better? And I'm going to give you all, number one, the scientific formula for getting better at this job. Okay. And I want to remind you guys, you've been doing this for, a day and a half. Saturday and Sunday is really the only days that we had, by the way. So, 2.5 days, not 1.5 days. 2.5 days is how long you've been doing the job for. So, and by the way, I'll just give you guys some examples for people that are looking to go for bigger first 10 days and really maximize your fast start competition. These are just different examples. Okay. So these people all sold less than $1,000 their first weekend and ended up having over $10,000 fast starts. Like this guy, Ben Huckett, he sold a Fisherman Solution. He sold 1 knife his entire first week on the job and finished off his fast start his first 10 days over, $11,000 in sales. 1 or 2K first weekends, this is good examples here too. So, if you're selling 1 or 2K, typically, if you have hit your second promo by this point in time, you have a pretty good shot at going for 15K plus, potentially higher if you want to take it. Like Amy Rad only sold $4,000 her first weekend, but she sold $22,000 the last back half of the push, or of her fast start, at least in the last 7 days. So she sold a lot more the last 7 days than she did the first 4. These are some other examples. Okay. More like $10,000, fast starts, days 1 through 3. That's just basically, today would be your 3rd day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is your 3rd day. So, and you can see if you get to like the 3 to 5K range, it gives you a better shot of going for like, 15, 20, 25K plus. Goal though is to get to everyone at dirty 30 as fast as humanly possible. And one of the questions that I always get from our representatives is, how do I do better at the job? How do I get better? And so what I would put into your notes is this, okay? This is a scientific equation for getting better. MMC plus DMD equals MMM.
Make more commission, do more demos equals make more money.
Boom, minus one word. Okay, you almost got it. MMC plus DMD equals MMM. Make more calls, do more demos equals make more money. Make more calls, do more demos equals make more money. Now, and I know that sounds simplistic, but that's it. That's really it. Okay. Do y'all think we've ever had someone get worse at the job as they do more appointments? You know, have y'all ever done something that the more you do it, the worse you get out of it? Very rarely. I can't even imagine anything that would be the case of, like, the more I practice it, the worse I get. Okay. That's it, guys. The more calls you make, the more appointments you have. The more appointments you have, of course, the more you're going to sell. And the more appointments that you're doing, guess what's going to happen is your skill set's going to increase. And then you are going to sell more on those next few appointments. You know, and I'll just share this with you all, you know, for instance, because I have people come through here. You know, we have people that do 10, 15, 20K fast starts. And we'll kick some serious butt, and they'll go on to, you know, people like Amy go out and sell 100 grand for the summertime. And, you know, when I first started the job, I didn't even do that hot my first week, you know. But the reality is I just follow that formula. Make more calls, do more demos equals make more money. I just kept making more calls. I did more appointments. And what happened is, even though I was the worst person in my training class, okay, and even though that was the case, by the time that I had finished, you know, after doing the job for a couple of weeks, I was probably the best person in my training class because I had done 3 times the amount of presentations as they had. It's not rocket science. It's, you know, I had more practice, I had more expertise. So anytime you lack for something in skill set, you can always make up for it in work ethic. And the reality is that if you have the skill set and you put in the work, then you oftentimes become pretty unstoppable. MMC plus DMD equals MMM. And this training today is going to teach you guys how to turn your no sales into sales. Like, who in here had a no sale this weekend? The appointment where someone didn't buy anything from you? Okay. Who in here had a no sale that you felt was like this close to making a sale? It was like almost there, and then it didn't really quite happen. Okay. Yeah, that, by the way, is how most no sales usually feel. Okay. Most no sales are only that far away from actually being a sale. They just end up being a no sale. You know, we're also going to teach you how to take some of your smaller sales. I saw some of your Google forums, like you want to learn how to sell sets more. Like, we're going to teach you today and how to take some of those smaller sales and turn those into much bigger sales. We're going to teach you how to turn your larger sales into, 4 or 5, 10 grand plus orders. So the first concept that you want to put down your notes, okay, is this something called 10-20-70 rule, the 10-20-70 rule. Okay, 10-20-70. First thing, 10% of customers that you see will not buy from you. So 10% of the people that you see will not buy. It doesn't matter, you know, what. It doesn't matter if I did a presentation, okay? It doesn't matter if Jonathan did the presentation for the customers. It doesn't matter if, you know, our CEO did the presentation for the customers. They just wouldn't buy anything, okay? They're just not in the market for knives. That's usually not, those customers are usually not Max, number one, okay? But number two, there's just people out there that just will not buy it, and it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with the presentation. They're just not the right target market. They're just not the customer for a Cutco, okay? And that's okay. That's going to be a portion of the people that you see. 20% of your customers always buy. Okay. So there's 20% of your customers that always buy from you. So, and this is why we just say, hey, go out there and do the demos, just read the freaking paper and play the video. The reality is, guys, is that we have enough statistical data to just know, like, if you just go out there and you see moms that live in a home and have kids and you play that video for it, I don't care who you are or what the heck else you do on your presentation. If you just read that manual and play that video, you will sell on some of your appointments. You will make sales. It's inevitable. Okay, 20% of your customers always buy from you, meaning, like, regardless of how well you presented or how poorly presented, they're going to see Cutco, they're going to see the product, they're going to, like it, and they're going to want to buy it. And then here's what matters. The other 70%, okay, is what you control. So portion of that, this is out of your control, the buying and the not buying. But for the other people, the other 70% can and will buy with your proper influence. Okay. Your presentation skills, your communication, your relationship building with them impacts whether or not you make a sale. Okay. And so, first things first. Okay. And this is what I would kind of put down into your notes here for the day. Okay. Number one, first thing I write down is a sale is made on every single demo. Okay. A sale is made on every presentation that you do. Either you are selling the customer on all the reasons they should get Cutco or all the reasons they should give you recommendations. Okay. Or they're selling you on all the reasons why they can't. Right. It's by the way, it's one, there is no neutral. It's just one or the other. Okay. Either you're the one doing the selling or you're the one being sold. Okay. And there's a great book by Grant Cardone called Sell or Be Sold, if anyone's ever heard of it. But do you all want to know the number one reason why customers cannot afford Cutco in the months of November, December, and January each year? I mean, y'all could probably take a guess. Why do you think no one can afford Cutco in the holiday season?
Christmas shopping.
Oh yeah, I just said the holidays, right? Yeah, Christmas shopping. Oh, we're about to, Christmas is coming up. We're about to spend all this money, or Christmas just happened, New Year's just happened. We can't afford anything right now because we're spending all this money on holiday shopping. Y'all want to know why no one can afford Cutco in like the months of March and April? This is the only one I took you guys not to get. Taxes, okay? Tax season. Oh, yeah, we'd love to help out, but we're waiting for our tax returns. We're waiting for our money to get back. Or, hey, we have to pay for taxes, so we just don't have money for that right now. Y'all want to know why, like, the number one reason why customers cannot afford Cutco in the months of May, June, July? I think I just heard Eduardo say, did you say vacations? Yep, bingo, you got it. Okay. Oh, we're traveling. We just took vacations, or we have this trip coming up. We just spent all of our money at this. Okay, y'all want to know why no one can afford Cutco in August and September? Back to school, baby, back to school. Oh, well, our kids are going to school. We just paid a down payment for tuition. Oh, we just got all these clothes for these kids. We just got the shoes for the all these books or whatever. Okay, y'all noticing anything by the way as I'm saying this? And that is what. Yeah, there's always a reason, and there will be year round. There's always a reason why your customers cannot afford Cutco. Now, flash forward. Okay, can they really not afford it? Is that really true? Are they not going to buy anything else for their house or home the rest of that year, like that whole entire year, every single one of those periods, they're not spending money? So, and here's the thing, the reason I share this with you is because one thing that's important, and everyone here did great, but it's important that you take autonomy, including when you don't do great, over your results. Okay. You are in control of the results. There are some things that are out of control here and there, but for the most part, you are in control. So never again do I want to hear anyone call the office, call Chelsea, call Jonathan, and say something along the lines of like, oh yeah, Jonathan, the customer didn't buy from me. Or like the customer, and Martina, you sold a good amount this weekend, so I'll put you on the spot. Like, oh, the customer didn't have any people to give me. It's like, okay, so here's the thing: is like, it's not that the customers didn't buy, right? It's that you didn't what? You didn't sell. It's not the customer's fault that they didn't buy. It's your fault that you didn't sell. Okay. So, and here's the thing is you just have to understand that number one, when you sit down with someone, if they're a Mac customer, every single person that you're going to see can afford a set of Cutco. Everyone can afford Cutco. If someone can't afford Cutco, that means they are not working or they're unemployed. And that's not our target market. You don't even get paid to see those people. So I wouldn't see them anyways. But if someone lives in a house, if they have a job, I mean, shoot, they could buy one knife, right? Like, can't they? A trimmer, $70 on a toupee, like $35 a day, $35 next month. Do you all know anyone that couldn't afford that? Like the credit card was gonna get declined from $30. Okay. And by the way, so every once in a while, whenever I have a rep call me and they say something like, oh, Andrew, the customer didn't buy. And I'll be like, oh, well, why did they buy? And they're like, well, they couldn't afford it. And, they're usually the first question that I ask a rep whenever someone says that is I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, well, let me ask you a question, Joey. Okay. Do you really believe that? And most of the times, by the way, usually the response is, yeah, I do, Andrew. You know, I know the family personally. I know they're going through a tough financial situation right now. It's maybe not a good time. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, but like they couldn't afford anything, like a veggie peeler, like the ice cream scoop, the cutting board. Like their credit card would get declined if they bought that. It's like, well, no, obviously they could probably buy something like that. And it's like, okay, cool. So is the reality that they just couldn't afford anything? No, the reality is that they just what? Didn't want to. They just didn't want to afford it. Okay. And they tell you that, hey, we can't afford it because that's a lot nicer than saying what? We don't want to
We
buy
don't
it.
want it.
Yeah, we don't want it. Okay. They say, hey, it's something I can't afford it is a lot nicer than saying, hey, you know, we like our $263 in our bank account more than we like a homemaker plus 8 set sitting on our countertop. Because by the way, that's what they're really saying. It's not that they don't have money. They just are saying like, hey, I'd rather have my money than have a homemaker set. That they just find more value in having that for something else than having a homemaker plus 8 set sit on their countertop. And they also too know, by the way, all the adults know that they can tell you that, and they can say, hey, I can't afford it. And most of you will instantly revert back to the 17 to 21-year-old mindset and go, oh, you know, Dora Miss Jones, I get it. Like I couldn't afford it either. Okay. Are you kidding me? These are soccer moms. These are families. Okay. Like how many of you all had a no sale this weekend to someone that has a flat screen TV in their house? Yeah, probably every no sale you had. Okay. And just to give you guys like an example, like think about this for a second. Okay. Like if you buy a flat screen TV, how often does someone use a TV? Pretty much daily. Right. But how many years, like how often do you replace your TV? 3 to 5 years, maybe. Right? Like, do y'all like I have a TV that was 3 years old and already like you guys would be surprised how old this thing looks already. Okay. Do y'all realize like that, like, you know, and I'm just gonna give you guys an example of like even a TV, like just put it this way, okay? If that flat screen TV fell off the hinges, God forbid, fell into the floor, broke and shattered everywhere, okay? You know, how long would it take dad to go to the store to go buy a new TV? Like that day, like when he gets off work, you know, like whenever he has time to go to Best Buy. And as soon as he has time, he's just going to head over to the store, go to Best Buy, you know, go pick out a TV, swipe his credit card for, you know, 800 to $1,000. Okay. And he's going to have a TV. He's not going to, you know, and by the way, if you ever see a customer that's like, no, Andrew, they would have gone at least 6 months without a TV in their house. Okay, cool. That person maybe can't afford it. Okay, but for the most other people, they would have been like, oh, I need to go get a TV now, you know, whatever. Like y'all realize, like even for me, and I'm 25 years old. You know, if someone charged $250 to my credit card, I wouldn't even notice it. I would have no idea. Okay, I would have to go through and look through my statements to like find that. And I'm like the only person spending money on my credit cards. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. Okay. No one else is being like, there's no other expenses that I have outside of me. And you'll have to just realize like, you know, like even like when you think about a credit card, you know, like do y'all, I even might give the example too. Most of y'all, who in here has a credit card? Yeah. What are y'all's limits? Like a couple $100, $1,000 maybe. Yeah. I mean, like guys, y'all know how much like an adult's credit card is? Like how much they have on their credit card? Like an average one?
Like 100 grand?
Probably 50. I mean, well, they do have usually 100 grand worth of credit, right? But the average credit card is probably somewhere between 15 to 30 grand. Some of them don't even have limits, right? But I'd say the average one's probably like 20 to 30 grand. And how many of those do they have? Like 4 or 5. You know, so yeah, to your point, Martini, like most adults almost have 100 grand worth of credit that they can pull at any time. You know, so you just gotta like again take yourselves out of your shoes and put yourselves into the shoes of the customer. Like think about it this way. Okay, y'all know how much? Do y'all know how much cable television costs? Like cable? How much is it?
Like $40 a month?
Nope. Okay, if you guys ask your parents how much they pay for cable, now by the way, like $100 is how much cable is going to cost, and that's cheap cable, by the way. Okay, so that's not usually like you know, you're not getting the sports packages and some extra stuff like that too. That's just like the basic starter cable package. And you know, here's the deal: if you ask most people, if you walk down the street and ask them, "Hey, how much do you pay for cable?" Most people will tell you about $100. Okay. Now here's the thing. They are going to say $100, but it's not $100. It's $100 per what? Per month. So how much is cable really for the year if it's $100 per month?
$1,200.
$1,200. Okay. So, and by the way, that's a $1,200 expense, but if you ask someone, they're going to say, hey, no, cable is only $100, right? But it's a $1,200 expense. Here's the other thing about cable too. By the way, they probably don't even use that much. They probably just use Netflix and Hulu and everything else that they also pay subscription services for. Okay. But let's say I have cable. Okay. Once you buy cable, like if you get your own home and you buy cable in it as you're like turning into an adult, when do you stop using cable? You don't. It never stops. It's an expense that keeps on going. My grandma, who's 80, 85 years old, guess what? She's still paying for cable. Okay. She's never stopped paying for cable. It's still being paid for. Okay. And so cable, they're going to spend, if someone, let's say you pretend someone doesn't get cable until the age of 30, right? And then they use cable television until maybe 60 and they cut it off. They say, I don't want to watch TV anymore. What's like $1,200 times 30 years? How much you paying for cable television over the course of your life?
Like 35 grand.
Yeah, like 20, 30, $40,000 for TV, for a cable television. Okay, like forever. Now pretend Time Warner Cable called your mom, and they called your mom up and they said, Martini, or whatever your mom's name is. They're like, hey, we have a special package going on right now where you can do a package for $10,000 and we'll give you cable for the rest of your life. What would mom say? No. Now here's the deal. Now y'all are thinking like she would say yes. She would not say yes. She would laugh them off the phone. She'd be like, what the hell? Like $10,000 for cable television? I'm sorry. I pay $100. What the hell? And hang up. Okay. Now you are starting to think like, wait a second. That's actually technically a good deal. Okay. That's not how most people are thinking though. So here's the thing is cable is a 30, 40, 50 grand expense. But if you ask someone how much they pay for cable, they're going to say $100. Cheap, $100. Okay. And here, it's a $10,000 plus expense, but they view it as $100. And the reason I share this with you all, okay, is because it's all about how people feel about the expense. People will rationalize any type of number in their head. It is not about the expense or the number. It's about how people feel about that expense. Okay. And so here's what you guys just need to understand is that think about it this way as like you guys like $1,200, like cable television for a year. Would y'all really take that over a Homemaker Plus 8 set for the rest of their life? Like that's worth more to them than that having the Homemaker Plus 8 set on their countertop for the rest of their life. And I'm just giving you guys this an example, but what you really need to understand is number one, okay, is that everyone you're going to see can afford Cutco. Okay. Everyone that you're going to show can afford a set of Cutco. But what matters? Do they what?
Do they want it?
Yeah. Do they want to afford a set of Cutco?